So did Slanted Paws bring everything that everybody wanted for Catmas? Did you all get what you wanted? No, you wanted the latest video game and you didn't get it. And you wanted My Little Pony. Do they still have those? Anyway, you get the gist here. Hope everybody's Christmas was good and everything worked out for that. It got me thinking a bit. I said, well, let's see. I mean, can Santa actually deliver the stuff to every house in the world in one night? No, they've done studies on that. It's actually impossible. He'd have to go faster than the speed of light. And if he did that, he'd vaporize. So immediately, myth busted. It's debunked, and that's it. But we'll play along with the bullshit, okay? And we're going to go on, and just by the word bullshit already, you know that this video is not meant for kids. I'm not marking it as such. There's going to be some more risque things we're going to talk about here. I was sitting there thinking, and I said, well, we wait all year for this. Christmas comes, you start putting up the decorations, you put up the tree, the whole 9 yards, whatever, and then finally it's Christmas Eve, then Christmas Day, you got all the new toys, and I really feel bad for the parents back in the 80s and into the 90s, because like in the 80s, the NES came out. If you're old enough to remember the NES, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it came with Super Mario Brothers. So what's the first thing that happened as soon as you rip the cardboard open on the box instead of opening it like a gentleman or a nice little girl? You break it. No, it doesn't work. No, they were actually fairly decent quality, at least for the first day. And then it started, where you have to blow in the cartridge and the whole thing. And people called them tapes, which was totally erroneous and all that. But I feel so bad for every parent, because as soon as they hook that up to the TV, going through the house for the next 6 months, it must have gotten fucking annoying. For the kids that played it, I get it, okay, because there's something with the music in the game. You need the music there to sort of play along with. I don't know how to really explain it, but if you ever muted the TV, you couldn't play as well. You kind of needed the music there, so I get that, but I feel so bad for all the parents who had to deal with all that. Well, anyway, like I said, I got to thinking. I said, all right, so Santa delivers all the presents, and of course the elves make them, which, what happened years ago is China came to Santa and said, oh, we can make all gifts for children throughout the world instead of your little elves make them. We do it cheaper. And that's why you didn't get the video game you want, because inflation and everything is so high priced now that your parents just, quite frankly, can't fucking afford it. That's what it came down to, because they're the ones that bought the presents to begin with. Oh, God, I just shattered childhood dreams of kids? Well, live with it. This is the world we live in. Okay? Nothing is sugar-coated. It all sucks. But I got to thinking. I said, all right, so Santa delivers those gifts, and then what happens? Well, you kind of ride out Christmas till New Year's, and by then you're like, all right, we should take the tree down, take the decorations down, and settle in, hunker down for a long winter. So what does Santa do? He's got 363 other days of the year. Does he check on the elves making the toys? No, like I said, he sold out to China. The elves, however, were given a very lucrative deal by Keebler, so they make all the cookies and crackers and stuff like that now. So that's how that works. So at least they're not out of a job. So there's your Christmas miracle for this year. I got to thinking, and I said, well, let's see. I get a lot of questions all the time on various things. How do I do this? How do I do that? Where do I find? How this, that? How come? All these things. And I say, you have the same internet access I do. You got Google. Just type it in. See what you find. So I went on Google and I said, what does Santa do for the rest of the year? So I read through a bunch of stuff, and as it turns out, Santa does many things. So I got 2 whole pages. They're double-sided even, so we're going to settle in for a nice video here, depending on how fast I could read this. None of this is nice. It's all quite naughty, but there is kind of a somewhat redeeming story at the end. I am going to be looking down like this to read this stuff, so it's kind of a listen along kind of thing. And I thought it was kind of fun. So I have 2 different things that I found. Remember that stealing from one is plagiarism. Stealing from many is research. So being that I have 2 different things, it's officially research, and therefore I'm not plagiarizing. So with that, let's get started. What does Santa do for the rest of the year? Many things. He fucks Mrs. Claus regularly. He works his elf slave labor to death. He can always magically make more elves by wiggling his nose. China, pretty much with their population, has that under control as well. He slaughters the reindeer who are too old or too sick to pull his sleigh anymore for food. Never thought of that one, did ya? Yeah. He regularly trains his polar bears to rip apart any intruders that invade his territory. He uses both toys and coal as fuel for his sleigh. Speaking of magical flying sleighs, his can go infinitely faster than light. How do you think he delivers all of those toys across the planet in just one night? Again, impossible, but for the fun of it. He snorts massive amounts of cocaine. Why do you think his beard is always white? Yeah, much of that snow in the North Pole isn't really snow at all. He fucks Mrs. Claus some more. The whole leaving milk and cookies on the table thing is just code for all of the hot and sexy MILFs who want him to slide in their chimneys every late night December 24th and early morning December 25th, and so that they can get a taste of his special eggnog from his South Pole, all while rubbing his 2 jingle bells, so to speak. He has an eternal beef with the Grinch and Mr. Scrooge since they always try to ruin Christmas. Therefore, he goes to war with them to protect his profits that he gains from folks' Christmas shopping. Santa and Krampus are the best of drinking buddies. He lines the hallways of his fortress with Rudolph's glowing red noses. Remember, he can magically make his nose grow back indefinitely after hacking it off every single time by wiggling his. Santa's side hustle is being a pimp. Why do you think he says ho 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 all the time? And speaking of which, why is Santa always so jolly? Because he knows where all the naughty girls live. Santa hates Frosty and his snowmen for giving him and Mrs. Claus frostbite during a threesome. Therefore, he gladly goes out of his way to exterminate him and the rest of the snow people with a flamethrower. Did I say he fucks Mrs. Claus some more? Damn, her durability matches his insatiability. Marijuana is hard to come by in the North Pole, so Santa makes occasional stops to Amsterdam to blaze up back in his fortress. Santa enjoys a good narwhal shish kebab every now and then. It's convenient because when he goes out to hunt and kill them, all he has to do is saw off the narwhal's tusk and impale it through the narwhal itself, then roast it over an open fire. Santa keeps a harem of sexy elf women and fucks them too all year round. What? He and Mrs. Claus can't both agree to have an honest and open marriage? Yeah, Santa's got a lot of skeletons in his closet, believe you me. Santa regularly studies up on every single human language spoken around the planet, and he can speak all of them fluently. Santa doesn't give a shit about being a role model. It's all a front. So with all of that, and all of your childhood dreams shattered, I found this story, and I thought this was really quite well put together. It's kind of a fun story in the end, And many parents will be able to identify with this and say, man, where was that guy when I needed him? Well, he certainly wasn't there on Christmas, I'll tell you that. So this story goes, back when I was recovering from my second divorce, I would go sit in the mall and watch people. I had been a hermit during part of my recovery, completely isolated after her threats on my life. I was afraid to turn the corner and have a blade drop on my back, so I ran from place to place at odd hours and avoided people like the plague. Eventually, I had to learn to be around people again, so I went to the mall and watched people. It was June or July, I just remember it was summer, very far away from Christmas, and a young mother was struggling with her young son who was being a major problem. Does this sound familiar? He was being a total brat. I was still a lot heavier than I am now, about 40 pounds heavier, and very Santa-sized. In fact, I have been Santa for several organizations. The only problem is black beard, brown hair. I usually shave off the beard and mustache to be Santa and glue on the beard to prepare for the inevitable pull at the beard child. So I'm watching this brat take his mother down. We'll call him John, just picking a name at random. I heard her using his name, so I wasn't exactly spying. They were carrying on for a while. He's winning. She just got too many things from shopping and one other baby and no way to handle this brat. So she attempts to pull out the big guns. Santa. John, you'd better behave or Santa will see how you are behaving and put you on his naughty list. Oh man, John was having none of that. He just got worse. And he said, Christmas isn't for months, and Santa isn't watching anyone. She lost it. She was about to break into tears. John had broken his poor mother. He had won. I got up from my seat at the fountain not far away, and I interrupted. I had to save this poor mother from breaking down in the mall. Pardon me, ma'am. I couldn't help it over here. I apologize. You do realize that Santa does disguise himself during the summer months so that he isn't recognized. Of course, he can't hide the belly, and he pats himself on his rather large belly, or the rosy cheeks, and grin wide enough that my cheeks blush, but the hair and beard has to be hidden. Sometimes he can be seen with brown hair, black beard, cowboy hat, black vest, and jeans. You know, just to blend in, as I described myself. And for the coup de grace, I pull out a notepad from my pocket I use to write poetry, and a pen that goes with it. I thumb through the pages of poetry. They can just see writing. Ah, here we go, John. Oh my, yes, still on the naughty list. Check. I guess I will have to check back another month. I hope that changes well before Christmas. This really doesn't look good. I'd much rather have you on the nice list. Then I left, ho ho ho. And John was struck in sheer terror at having his bluff called by none other than Santa himself in disguise. And worse, he just got checked off on the naughty list. Again, how many times had he been checked already? The horror was registering properly, and the mother was drying her tears and holding back a laugh. She mouthed a thank you, which was very obvious. Then I had to let them go. Now, if you will excuse me, I have many others to watch. Please, have a good day. And John, try and be nice. I returned to my seat to watch people, and John had turned into a robot. So there is my answer. The rest of the year, Santa disguises himself and wanders into public areas to watch people and take notes on children's behavior. That's how he gets his naughty and nice lists. That was really well written. I gotta hand it to whoever these people were who wrote both of these things. Like I said, it's research because there's more than one of them, not plagiarism. I thought it was kind of a fun thing to share. Once again, I hope all of your Christmases were merry and bright and all of that great stuff that goes along with that. As XJoe81X put it in a quick shorts video, family comes first. He's absolutely right. Where the hell were you on that one, America, on Thanksgiving? Right. lining up at the mall, lining up at Best Bitch, lining up everywhere else to buy these gifts that Santa's elves make. Oh wait, right, that was sold out to China, and now we have to buy them. Childhood dreams shattered once again. Anyway, from myself and the Whiff, I want to wish all of you a belated Merry Christmas and the upcoming very Happy New Year. 2023, folks. 2022 was not a good year for a lot of us, and we all thought 2020 was shit. 2022 had it in for us, and real bad. Myself, Sharky626, had a hell of a time in 2022, and several others I can think of. It just was not a fun year. 2023, I don't know. I think it's going to kind of be, this is just speculation, I think it's going to kind of be a humdrum sort of year. Things will just go by. Nothing really extravagant, nothing really exciting. Just another year that'll pass. But I really have high hopes for 2024 that maybe things are going to turn around. Not just in my life and others who have been in turmoil, but also with this crazy economy and what's going on in the world and all that. Maybe some things will be resolved by then. That, of course, remains to be seen. But anyway, I've rambled on long enough. I thank you so much for watching. Hope you got a chuckle out of this at the very least. And that very enlightening story about that kid John and that, I thought was really well done. So remember that and use that on your kids if you have them. It might work, just like it did for that mother and her son John. So that's about it. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Well, I guess we're not going to need this stuff anymore, so let's put it in the RAGU shredder. RAGU. It's in there. And the link is in the prescription. Take care.